So in 10.6, we're going to be factoring linear expressions. Now that's a fancy word, but or fancy phrase. What it really means is you're going to be doing distributive property in reverse. And let's see that. So we're going to have to remember what a greatest common divisor is. Now that's not a least common multiple, it's greatest common divisor. It's the same number if you were simplifying a tens, what number would you use? Well, you would use 2 because the greatest common divisor is 2. This is literally the first thing we did this year, right? The greatest common divisor there is 2. The greatest common divisor of 9 and 12, the largest number that divides into both, is 3. And then I always made you actually do the division and check, because if you can go again, you didn't get the greatest common divisor. The greatest common divisor of 16 and 12 is 4. And the greatest common divisor of 35 and 30 is 5. All right, so greatest common divisor, you're going to need that largest number that divides into both. So what number goes out here? That's what you're doing today. What number times 3x minus 5 equals 12x? So blank times 3 equals 12. And it turns out the same number, blank, times negative 5 equals negative 20. So what number goes there in the blank? Well, 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times negative 5. The question mark there is 4. All right, so we have learned what a factor is, and the greatest common factor is the common number that divides into both. So what divides into both 6x and 15x, the largest thing? Well, the largest thing that divides into 6 and 15, right, is 3, right? 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 15 divided by 3. So the greatest common divisor of 6 and 15 is 3. What do you think the greatest common divisor of 6x and 15x is then? What's the largest thing that will divide into that? Well, it's 3x. All right, because 6x divided by 3x is 2. It goes in 2 times. And we'll talk more about that. And 15x divided by 3x goes in 5. Now, it's the same thing, keep the variable. Don't get too excited. So the greatest common divisor here is 3x. What's the greatest common divisor there? Well, the greatest common divisor of 10 and 25, right, is 5. And the greatest common divisor here is 5y. Greatest common divisor of 4x and 12y. So you have the greatest common divisor of 4 and 12 is 3, right? So what do you think the largest number that divides into both? It's just 3, because 3x does not go into 12y, and 3y does not go into 4. Oh my goodness, not 3. I'm losing my mind. 4. My goodness, 4 divided by 4 is 1. That's why you should do this division, so you catch your mistakes. It's 4. I was thinking about the next part. All right, but it's just 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. All right, we'll talk more about that. So what's the greatest common divisor here? What's the greatest common divisor of 14, 21, and 35? Or it doesn't matter that it's negative, truthfully. Well, it's 7, right? 7 divides into all of these. So it's 7. But they also have an x. So 7x goes into all of them. But 7y doesn't, because the others don't have a y. All right, so now you're going to see that. Don't get too upset about that if that's freaking you out. It's going to get clearer. All right, so what you're about to do is find the factors, the things that multiplied to make that. Now, what multiplied to make that? You had something out here, and you had some things in parentheses. So what you're going to do first is figure out what must have been out here. What is the greatest common factor of 2, 2, and 6? Well, the greatest common factor of 2, 2, and 6 is 2. So if 2 was out there, what must have been in the parentheses? Well, you had to have something to make 2x, so you need an x. You had to have something to make plus 2y, so you needed a plus y. You had to have something to make plus 6, it's plus 3. And so let's understand that. The factors of the two things that multiplied it, there's two things there. 2 is a factor, and this whole thing in parentheses is a factor. So 2 is a factor, and x plus y plus 3 is a factor. So let's see that again. So what's the greatest common factor of 10, 5, and 30? It doesn't matter that it's negative. Right? It's 5. So 5 must have been out there. What must have been inside? What was the other factor? Well, something had to make 10x. Would you believe it was 2x? What would have made plus 5y? Plus y. What would have made negative 30? Negative 6 or minus 6. And so what must have multiplied to make that was 5 times 2x plus y minus 6. So this is a linear expression, and we just found the two factors of it, right? Like the factors of 10 are 2 and 5. There's also 10 and 1. But the factors here are 5 and 2x plus y minus 6. There's only two factors, the thing outside and the thing in the parentheses. Just like 2 times 5 are two factors. All right, so what is the greatest common factor of 9 and 15? Well, it's 3, right? So 3 must have been out there. Oh, but now we have a y in both. So what else could come out here? Yeah, 3y can come out there. Because the greatest common factor of 9 and 15 is 3, but there's a y in both, so you keep the y. So what, 3y, so let's now do the interesting part. 3y times what made 9xy? Well, it must have been 3x. Think about it. 3y times 3x is 9xy. Right? Some negative thing must have made negative 15y or minus 15y. So 3y times blank made negative 15y. Well, it must have been negative 5 or minus 5. Now, if you're ever nervous about these, especially when you have to take out a letter, right, you could do distributive property now and go 3y times 3x, what's that? Oh, 9xy, yeah, that worked. 3y times 5, negative 15y, because you've spent 2 days on distributive property, you definitely can do this forward. So if don't just stare at it, put something out here and then try it and see if it's right. Check your work. All right, so what's the greatest common divisor of 14 and 28? Now, you might say 7, but 7, right, you could go again because you get 2 4, so it's not 7. Yeah, it's 14. So 14 out there, and there's an x in both. So if there's an x in both, the x comes out here. So 14x times blank equals 28xy. Well, 14 times 2, but 14x times 2 is 28x. I need a y. So there's the y, 2y. 14x times what will make negative 14x? Times negative 1, or minus 1. So the factors here are 14x and 2y minus 1. All right, so we're going to factor 8 minus 2x. Now, normally the x is first, but if you were going to simplify 2/8, what would you do? You'd divide by 2, because that's its greatest common factor. So there must be a 2 out there. And 2 times what makes 8? 4. And some negative times 2 made negative 2x. It's negative x. Let's check our work. 2 times 4 is 8. And you don't have to reorder this, all right, because it was in the wrong order to start. So you just leave it that way. Okay, so what's the greatest common factor of 10, 5, and 40? Well, it's 5. And you're going to always take out a positive. Oh, am I? Yes, I think we are. This is a very good question. Yeah, we're going to take out a positive. And so 5 times what is negative 10x? It's negative 2x. 5 times, oh, do we have an x in all of them? No, we did not. We did not have an x in the last one, so we did not take out an x. 5 times what makes 5xy plus xy? 5 times what makes negative 40? Negative 8. 5 times negative 2x plus xy minus 8. Okay. What are we going to take out here? Well, is it 3? It looks like 3. So let's take out 3. 3 times what is negative 9x? Negative 3x. 3 times what makes 33? 11. Was there an x in all of them? Yeah, there was. So I'm going to take a... Ooh, there was an x in all of them. So I'm changing my answer, right? So 3x comes out here. 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x. There's 11. We already got our x, so we just put the 11y there. And 3x times negative 12... 3x times what will make negative 12xz? I'm getting negative 4z, right? And I would definitely check my work here. 3x minus times negative 3, negative 9x. 3x times 11y, 33xy. 3x times negative 4z, negative 12xz. Yes. Now, if you forget to get this x, as I almost did, right, then you'll end up with an x in all of those, and that's not completely factored. Same thing here. Oh, I see a y in all of them, so a y's got to come out. And I think these are all by 6. So 6y times what is 12y? 2. 2 times 6y is 12y. 6y, this is minus x. That's the only thing we don't have, right? 6y times negative x is negative 6xy. 6y, 6 times what is 18? 3, and you need a z. 2 minus x plus 3z. You don't need to reorder anything there. All right, so which expressions are equivalent? Now, the truth is, you could just do distributive property on every single one of these, but the idea here is to figure out, oh, 6 and 12 both have 6, so this is x plus 2y. So it's clearly the same as 6, right, times x plus 2y. But you could do the easier way, or although more time-consuming. That's 6x plus 12y. This is 6x plus 3y, so that's no good. And this is 6x plus 2y, and also not 12y. All right, so which one is equivalent to that? Well, we can just do the distributive property. Negative 16x, 8 times 4y, plus 32y, plus 8. So it looks like that one. What is this one? Negative 16x minus, oh, that's minus 24y, plus 8. All right, so it's not that one. But what would be the greatest common factor here? It would be 8. Right, you would take out the 8, and then this would be negative 2x plus 4y plus 1. That's what we got. So you should be able to go forwards and backwards with distributive property. That's the idea. All right, so what would have to go out there to make that true? The question mark has to be a 4, right? Because 4 times 3x is 12x, 4 times negative 5, negative 20. What has to go out there? Hopefully you're thinking negative 5, because negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x. Negative 5 times 10 is minus or negative 50. What about this time? Ooh, this one's harder. Blank times 2 equals 1. What goes in the blank? What's going to cancel that 2? 1/2. The question mark there is 1/2, right? Because half of 2x is x. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. So let's practice our factoring. All right, so now the ones we started with, they're not on the homework. What we're doing is distributive property in reverse. So 20 and 8, greatest common factor is 4, right? Not just 2. 2 is a common factor, but not a greatest. So 4 times 5x makes 20x. 4 times negative 2y, what makes minus 8y? 30 and 12 both have 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times negative 2x or minus 2x makes minus 12x. These all have 5. So 5 times 4x makes 20x. 5 times 3y makes 15y. 5 times negative 5 makes negative 25. These all have an x in them. They also just have a 2. Yeah, I think it's just a 2. Because 2x times 8x, so it's 4. 2x times 7y makes 14xy. 2x times negative 5z makes negative 10xz. What is the question mark there? Now we just made blank times 3 equals 1. It's like the one. We also have the hint, I didn't do this last time, blank times negative 12 makes negative 4. What goes in there? I think this one's the easier one to see, but it's 1/3. The question mark has to be the fraction, 1/3. All right, good luck on the homework.